Now it's time for tip-episodes with quick tips you should know. Techniques you can implement into your workflow right here on A Tale, oh yeah, A Tale of Two Hygienists.
Hey everyone, welcome to this week's tip episode. I'm your host, Andrew Johnston, and today we're going to be talking about disclosing. Now, if you're like me and you were taught about disclosing in school, I feel like it was generally talked about during pediatric clinic. And I could be wrong. It could be talked about in all sorts of other classes, but like that's the one that kind of sticks out in my mind. And I remember that there being requirements also that on our checklist during pediatric clinic that did we use disclosing agents, did we not? But there weren't checklists for adults. And so then, we get through our programs and I get into the real world and I'm thinking, no hygienists are using any sort of disclosing agent, anything at all. And I realize it's because it takes a few extra minutes that we really don't have to have a discussion about what it is and why we're going to be doing it and what the process is, get the buy-in from the patient, have them chew the little tablet and do the spitting and so on and so forth. And so what did I do? I did probably what most of you did or are doing. I fall right on in line. No one else was doing it. And frankly, I didn't think that it was that big of a deal that I wasn't doing it as well. So at the time, and honestly, I mean, we're going to have a whole episode about how important it is. But really at the time, I had zero guilt about it. And looking back, I have zero guilt about not having guilt about it, if that makes sense. But would I do things differently today? Absolutely. So fast forward several years into the career, this GBT thing came around and the education started being put like right in my face. Hey, we need to be disclosing our patients. And I know that the position during the classes that I sat through were about education, but really it was about utilizing disclosing agents as a roadmap for this shiny new tool, something that can actually speed up our appointments. So during this episode, let me see if I can convince you that disclosing isn't a waste of your time. So speaking of time, I mentioned how we don't really have times and appointments, right? That's something we always talk about. Everyone talks about it all the time. And one of the biggest issues I see is that hygienists just bebop all around the mouth without a real pattern. Now, sure, you can create a system for yourself and patterns for yourself, and that doesn't have to include disclosing. But if you're like me, you kind of go on autopilot most of the appointment. And then sometimes something will happen, like a patient asks a question, or you get pinged and you have to read something, or someone comes in and interrupts you, doctor comes and interrupts you or whatever, and your routine gets broken. Just for a quick minute, you go back in and then you have to try and remember where you left off. Disclosing absolutely helps alleviate this. When you get in a pattern and you start moving through the mouth faster, then you have a few extra minutes to do whatever else you need to do. Whether that's going to be go ahead and start your notes now, whether it's going to be do some other tasks so that you can actually get out to break on time, go out to lunch on time, go home on time or whatever. Now you have the extra time built in. I've also seen many hygienists picking up an instrument and using it on literally every millimeter of the broad surfaces of the teeth. That is so unnecessary. It's unfortunate that they don't understand. And there are a couple companies that offer a multicolored disclosing agent. And the different colors indicate how long that plaque biofilm has been in contact with the tooth. And so if you use that as your North Star, then you'll know which area needs extra time for instrumentation and which areas don't need any instrumentation or very little instrumentation. The other thing I want to talk about is about proof. So proof to yourself of a job well done. I think that we have some inferiority complex issues as hygienists and some other things, but I think that knowing without a shadow of a doubt that you did a great job is really important, and disclosing agents help us with that. Also, proof to the patient that even though you were speedy lightning getting through that prophy, you didn't miss one single area, and you can prove it to them and you can show them. You can show them the before and the after. And lastly is proof to the doctor. So I get kind of frustrated when the doctors pick up the smallest little piece of residual anything, and then they hold it up on their Explorer to the light so everyone can see it, like they just discovered, gold, and this is the most important thing in the whole entire world. So this tiny freaking little thing that likely was just like dislodged from one area and found its way onto another area. Didn't get rinsed off all the way, apparently. Moved around the mouth. They think that this is something that I missed. Well, guess what? If I'm using disclosing agents, I'm proving that I'm actually doing a job well done. Of course, unless I missed some of the pink or the discolored areas, of course, then I'm kind of screwed. Education. And I think this is the easiest one for us to understand. And so I'm not going to belabor the point too much. But education, as we all know, is the key to breaking the disease cycle. Sometimes our patients don't literally see the problem. Disclosing agents helps give them something to look at and help them take it seriously. It's uncomfortable, especially for the really, I don't think arrogant is quite the right word. Maybe self-confident is the right word, patient, because they just brushed and they're so amazing at it. And they've been doing a perfect technique their whole entire time. They don't want us to show them even more perfect techniques. They're not children. Don't talk down to them, et cetera, right? Like, you know this type. And then you can show them where they're missing. And then you can take this and, as uncomfortable as it is, have a great opportunity for education. Say, see where this restorative work is and see where you've been missing. This is likely why that restorative work has had to be done. Or see where this perio has been and see where you're continuing to miss. These are correlations here. This is an issue. It's a straight line leading them to self-correction, which is awesome because it's not so much you saying anything. It's now a tool, an objective tool that's saying the thing. Education also is really why we're here, right? Education is the key tool for prevention. We are prevention specialists. We also like preventing patients from taking more time than is necessary during the appointments. So imagine how much quicker your appointments will be. And I should have said this during the time part earlier, but imagine how much faster your appointments are going to be if your patients present healthier to start with. I think that disclosing is super important. I really think that it's something that we need to start adding to our arsenal. There are plenty of great options and tools out there to help us be more successful. I think this is yet another one. So I would love for all of you to reconsider, especially those out there that aren't doing it. I know this is a bit of a review, maybe a little bit of a basic concept, but I'm telling you, the masses of us really aren't using this very simple tool, and we probably ought to be. Join us next week for more episodes. Also, if you want to, you can head over to our website at taleoftwohygienists.com and sign up for our newsletter. The next one comes out around the 15th, so in a couple of days, and it's a pretty good one. It's the In the News one, and there's some really good things that will help you have better communications with your patients, or at least icebreakers or things to talk about with your patients or with your colleagues. And then, of course, at the end of the month, we have our recap for all of our episodes that aired that month. So if you see anything interesting on that one, you can go back and listen to it if you missed it. Thanks again for listening. Have a great weekend, everyone.
A tale of two hygienists.